You're with us here on Business Today. I'm Abha Bukaya. Here are the day's top stories. Benchmarks rebound from lows, recouping some of those losses. Sensex stages a 650-point recovery, and the Nifty also scaling back 18,200. Binance Rohit says India is a hotbed of innovation when it comes to crypto projects. Even as bears remain in control of markets, he expresses optimism over the future of the industry. Big tech players on the centre's radar as Parliamentary Committee bats for a competition law against anti-competitive practices. The committee head, Jayant Sinha, tells BTTV that the need of the hour is to regulate digital markets to avoid monopolistic trends. Sanguine calls made by Reliance Industries chairman and MD Mukesh Ambani on India's growth story says India is on track to become a $40 trillion economy by 2047. Bets big on India's young talent pool and technological might. Special Court of the Central Bureau of Investigation sends Chanda Kochhar, spouse Deepak Kochhar and Videcon head Venugopal Dhoot to a 14-day judicial custody till January 10th in the ICICI Bank-Videocon money laundering case. India extends trade ties with Australia. The first major trade agreement between the two countries kicks in amid expectations that trade will double to $50 billion over the next 5 years. Union Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal calls the pact a labour of love and a complete win-win. A lackluster day of trade as concerns continue to flare up around rising COVID cases in China. Benchmark staging a recovery though. Sensex clocking in 650 points. That's from the day's low, ending the session 224 points higher. The Nifty also closing 0.4% higher at 18,191, scaling 18,200 in the session. Most sectors are a little mixed today. Metals and banking did see some gains, continuing that theme that we've been seeing traction in during the week. Today was also expiry, of course, so therefore it ended pretty much flat for expiry session. Among the top laggards, selling was seen on the names like Tata Motors, Apollo Hospitals, Titan, TV Lab and Ultratech Cement. Few other gainers today. Bharti Airtel, of course, on news that it may be listing its payments business. Eicher Motors, SBI, some of the others that were buzzing today. All gains of upwards of 2%, followed by modest gains seen on Axis Bank and Tata Steel. Only one trading session away from 2023. We did try and take stock of some of the key themes and stocks to watch out for in the new year. Here's an excerpt from a chat my colleague Sakshi Batra had with Chandan Taparia of Motilal Oswal.
Now, as we move into the next series, January series, into the new year, what to your mind will be the dominant theme right there? Will it be China again? Will it be the recessionary fears? Or will it be the pre-budget moves that we will be expecting? Your thoughts?
So if you look at the overall market and the volatility, because when you talk about the couple of things which are making the greed and fear, then definitely I'll talk about India VIX. Your India VIX is now near to 15.5. And we have seen a spurt in last week by 15 to 16%. So volatility slightly recovered from the lows, and because of that, the market is also finding tough to hold at higher levels. So obviously the global market and China concerns are there. But I think dips could be bought because of the budget. So budget, China theme, these are likely to be the key trigger. And then India VIX will provide the sentiment and market eternal to goes the same. So I think these are the factors one need to keep track, and these are likely to give the setup and the momentum to the market.
Okay. And as for the strategies for investors for the new year, what would you really recommend the right way to really approach the markets in the next year?
So, see, there is no doubt about the outperformance of India. In this year, we have seen a consolidation. 2020, we have seen good recovery. 21 was the perfect bullish year. 21 was more of the sideways, but dips were being bought. So I think after the rally of last 2 years, this year was a sideways, and again, the next leg of rally cannot be ruled out in the 2023. And Sakshi, if I look at the data set of last 20 years, in last 20 years, only 3 years, the index closed negative on year-to-year basis. So I don't see any reason that why should market go much down. yes, global concerns are there. So to sum up the same, I believe decline could be bought in the market. As of now, 17,777 is the major support. Any decline towards the same could be bought. And I believe that after the consolidation of a couple of days, the index will head towards 18,442 and 18,881. So going forward in 2023, we believe that market has potential to move by 8 to 10% from current levels after the good consolidation of 2022.
Right. And also, where should the money be really flowing to in terms of the sectors? Which are the top 3 sectoral preferences that you would have for the new year?
So definitely we'll focus more into the banking and financials. So Bank Nifty, which already outperforming this year, up by around 20%, likely to continue their momentum. So Bank Nifty is one space where we will focus. In Bank Nifty, PSU and private both will be preferred sectors. So I believe both will do the positive stance. So banking, financials, and apart from that, we'll focus on the fertilizer. However, most of the fertilizer has really done well, but still there is a scope.
And here's what else is making news in the corporate world. A shifting focus to action unfolding. Here are the companies on our radar today. Financial services company KFin Tech made a tepid debut on the bourses at 369 rupees per share on the Bombay Stock Exchange versus its issue price of 347 to 366 rupees. The stock slumped 2% post-listing. Honasa Consumer, owner of skincare brand Mamaearth, has filed its draft red herring prospectus with SEBI. The company plans to raise funds via offer of equity shares through the public issue. The offer comprises issue of equity shares up to 400 crore rupees and OFS. Net proceeds to meet advertisement expenses, capital expenditure needs of the company and investments into subsidiaries. Shriram Finance, erstwhile Shriram Transport Finance, traded with deep cuts today after the listing of additional 17.4 crore equity shares on the bourses today, post-amalgamation of various Shriram entities. The leadership of Lionel Messi, Arjun's single focus on the eye of the bird, India turning into a $40 trillion economy, Jio's pan-India 5G coverage. Reliance Industries chairman Mukesh Ambani talked of all this and much more in his Reliance Family Day address. Here's a small excerpt.
We are living through a time when the world is beginning to see the 21st century as India's century. Our Honorable Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi ji, has aptly described it as India's Amrit Kaal. The next 25 years are going to be the most transformational in the 5,000-year-old history of India. This is when India is poised to achieve exponential economic growth. We can become a $40 trillion economy by 2047, the centenary of our independence, in a sustainable and stable manner. This goal is realistic and achievable because India is blessed with the power of young demography, the power of a mature democracy, and the newly acquired power of technology. From an era of shortages, scarcity, and widespread poverty, India will enter an era of inclusive prosperity, abundance of opportunities, and unimaginable improvement in the ease of living and quality of life of 1.4 billion Indians. Similarly, at a time when uncertainty, volatility, and even regression can be seen in many parts of the world, India is being regarded globally as a shining spot. Jio's 5G deployment will be complete in 2023. I heartily congratulate the entire Jio team for further consolidating the #1 position in the digital connectivity business. But Jio platforms should now get ready for India's next big opportunity to provide unique digital products and solutions to both domestic and international markets. Since every single village will have 5G connectivity, India has a historic opportunity to completely erase the rural-urban divide which has plagued our country for so long. World Cup football tournament in Qatar. All of you who watched it will agree that the final game was the most thrilling in the history of the sport. But how did Argentina win the cup? It is because of the combination of leadership and teamwork. Messi could not have won the cup on his own. Similarly, the Argentinian team could not have won without Messi's inspiring leadership. They faltered in the first game, but they did not give up. Ultimately, they won because they were breathing victory, dreaming of victory, and doing everything needed to achieve victory until the last penalty shot. They were like the warrior Arjun, who could see nothing but the eye of the bird at which he had pointed his arrow.
The Parliamentary Standing Committee on Finance is firming up a law against anti-competitive practices by big tech companies. The committee has suggested that India's competition law be enhanced to meet requirements of digital markets in order to strengthen the Competition Commission of India with new responsibility. Here's a part of that conversation Business Today TV Managing Editor Siddharth Zarabi had with Jayant Sinha, chairperson of the committee.
For the layperson, the other report that you have given, big tech, and big tech is something that every one of us, every single person who has anything to do digitally is touched by, influenced by, positively and negatively. Tell us
You're
the thrust.
You're absolutely right, Siddharth. You're absolutely right. Big tech touches all of our lives. India has close to 700 million internet users now, 350 million of them transacting on the internet. So whether it is us sitting in a city, or whether it is a farmer in a village in Jharkhand, everybody is on the internet. Everybody's lives are touched by WhatsApp, by UPI, by digital banking. In all of these cases, we have to ensure that our digital markets work in a fair, contestable way. So it's important for us to upgrade our competition law framework to ensure that they appropriately cover digital markets as well. I pointed out earlier that our competition law was amended after 15 years. And so we learned a lot in the marketplace as to how competition law should be amended. And that's reflected very well by the government in the competition amendment bill. Now, equally, we have learned over the last 15 or 20 years, Siddharth, that digital markets behave very differently from traditional physical markets. So digital markets end up with winner-take-all monopolistic outcomes very, very quickly. It can happen within 2 or 3 years. And that is because of the underlying reality of digital markets, scale effects, and importantly, network effects as well. And because these increasing returns to size move very, very quickly, in 2 or 3 or 4 years, you can find that you can have a monopolistic winner-take-all. Therefore, the traditional way of looking at anti-competitive behavior, which is after the fact, that doesn't work very well in digital markets because these markets tip so quickly, they lead to monopolistic outcomes so quickly. So by the time you finish a 5 or 10 year proceeding, that market could have already resulted in a monopolistic outcome, and that monopoly could have choked off all competition. So we cannot have an ex post after the fact system, which is the way traditional competition law has worked for digital markets, which touch all our lives right now. It's very important, and this is, of course, the way competition law has evolved around the world as well, that instead of doing this kind of regulation of competitive behavior after the fact, that we consider doing it before the fact. And this is called ex-ante regulation of competitive behavior, not ex post after the fact regulation. So ex-ante regulation, before the fact regulation of competitive behavior is a necessity in digital markets because they result in monopolistic outcomes so quickly.
It's been a year best forgotten, put in the past for the cryptocurrency industry and its players. The flagship token Bitcoin is down 65%. Exchanges like the FTX have imploded. Currencies like the Luna and Solana have lost their value. So what does 2023 hold for the crypto industry? Here's the global CTO of Binance, Rohit, in an exclusive conversation with Akanksha Chaturvedi.
So the past few months have been rough for several big ticket crypto companies. They went bust in a spectacle. On the other hand, Binance has positioned itself as a leader amid all these collapses. What do you think is the reason behind Binance's resilience?
Well, there's at the very core, there's the reason is absolutely very simple, and it's just the one thing. It is that we put our users first on in anything that we do, and that is that is the single principle that has guided us right from the get-go. You might have seen our founder CZ talk about it all the time, and that principle guides us. And practically speaking, we do a lot of other things to follow up on that principle, and that is really what has differentiated us from the other exchanges.
All right, sir. So you put users first. That is your policy. Moving to my next question, I wanted to understand, since Binance invests in several startups, in the Web3 world, what are some Indian projects, Indian crypto projects that you think that have a lot of potential?
India, in a variety of ways, not just Web3. Let's even go back to Web2 in the past. India has been a hotbed of innovation. India, we have seen so many amazing products, services, teams, companies come out of India. Some of the things that are very interesting, of course, you've all heard of Polygon or Matic. That is super interesting. There are a lot of other startups that are doing interesting work on chain, whether it's in the form of transaction analysis or movement of funds, etc. There are just lots and lots of Indian startups that are very promising.
All right, sir. Since you're actively working in the field of technology, even at Binance, but I wanted to understand, what are some use cases of blockchain and Web3 technology for India beyond tokens and crypto coins?
That's a good one. If you look at all the users of blockchains were all about recording and making sure that the transactions have a lot of transparency. And the single biggest use case for these transactions has been essentially money or crypto. But beyond that, there are several other practical applications. Now, if you look at things like, Akanksha, I see that you graduated in 2020, I think, and you have a transcript. And if someone wants to look at your transcript, at least back when I graduated, the transcripts were on a piece of paper with a tuppa on top that told you that this is authentic. Now, those things can all be on blockchain that allow people, both the issuer, the student who has this transcript, as well as the recipient, to make sure that it's authentic, it's easy to transport, it's easy for other people to view it, as well as essentially permissions to make sure that my transcript only goes to people who I assigned them to. So this is one example of a transaction that can be on a blockchain, and that is very different from the regular cryptocurrencies or money transactions that we talk about. And now this can be extended. This can be extended to a variety of other things. This can be extended to land records. This can be extended to prove that you own a particular car. I mean, the use cases of this, there are many users like that.
Yes, sir, that's true. And a lot of work is also being done. The Maharashtra government had put up certificates, COVID certificates on the blockchain, and also land records, as you mentioned, has been done. So I want to ask you some questions for, Indian investors who have invested in cryptocurrencies, being in the space early on and having seen multiple bear cycles. What piece of advice would you give to these first-time crypto investors who are seeing their crypto holdings diminished during this bear market?
So let me begin by saying that I cannot give investment advice for a couple of reasons. Number one, that I am not a certified person who can give financial or investment advice. That's one. Second, my role is mostly as a technologist. I'm an engineer at heart and not a financial person. With that said, I'd say the couple of things that I personally look at. Number one, when I think of something, I think long term. I don't think day trading or things like that. That's one for me personally. Second, I think it goes without saying that people have to do your own research. You have to look at the things. You have to look at what you're investing in, who is backing it, how many tokens or how many other investors there are in it. What's how transparent is the company that you're investing in, and things like that.
All right, sir. So if not investment advice, could you tell techies or developers who probably want to work in the field of Web3 why they should be excited about having a job in the Web3 and how is the job market going to be, especially for Indians from now on?
You know, if you go back to the Web 2 days, right? If you look at all the way back, gosh, before 1998, if someone had talked to you about a search engine and the kinds of things that it would do, it was almost unimaginable. But there was glimmers, you could see glimpses of what the world could be when Google first started going, right? And that spawned a whole range of industries just from the search engine. Similarly, if you look at, again, back to 2004, I guess, when Amazon first started coming out, etc., you look at it, and if people had said that, gosh, you could do all of these things online, you could buy things, you could review, you could read, you could research what you want to buy, that would have been just unimaginable. And yet here we are, where that is part of the fabric of modern life. I think that blockchains, cryptocurrencies, transaction recordings are in that state now. And there is an inflection point coming where a lot of things get done there. The recent bear market or the recent crypto winter, have we taken a step back? Absolutely. But this area, this research, this body of work is going to be part of our future going forward. And so my advice to the set of people who are graduating now, the set of people who are interested in technologies behind this are get to be an expert in these areas, learn the technologies. And this is going to be a huge part of our future going forward.
And before we wrap the show today, here's a look at all the big moments from the world of automobiles this year. A Business Today special report by Chetan Bhutani.
Well, India's automobile sector saw both good and bad in 2022. We will bring you top 10 events that changed India's automotive landscape. Well, starting in January, with the aim for having safer cars on roads, Union Road Transport and Highways Minister Nitin Gadkari approved a draft rule stating that starting October, all cars will have 6 airbags, which was ultimately deferred by a year in September. In April, multiple electric two-wheelers from manufacturers such as Ola Electric, Okinawa Autotech, Jitendra EV and Pure EV saw their vehicles catching fire, and the government began investigation into it, and subsequently new battery safety norms were also announced by the government. The impact of the Russia-Ukraine war had subsequently started to affect the global supply chains, which led to a semiconductor shortage globally and as well in India. Companies like Mahindra, Maruti and Hyundai saw wait time for its vehicle rise substantially. In August, Ford announced that it's closing its Chennai facility, marking an end of its stint of producing cars and SUVs in India for domestic and the export market as well. Tata Passenger Electric Mobility Limited subsequently came to the rescue of Ford and acquired its Sanand facility for a total consideration of about 725 crores. In a tragic incident on September 4th, Cyrus Mistry, former chairman of Tata Sons and Tata Motors, died in a car accident on his way to Mumbai. Well, few days after his demise, Nitin Gadkari said that the government was looking to make rear seatbelt alarms mandatory for rear passengers. Passenger vehicle sales in India, which had slumped in the past 2 years, rebounded to the pre-pandemic levels. In fact, automobile sales in September 2022 saw a new monthly benchmark of 3.55 lakh units, registering a 26% monthly growth. In fact, September's tally also registered a 121% increase over September 2021. In November, Vikram Kirloskar, Vice Chairman and an Indian automotive industry veteran, passed away aged 66 due to a heart attack. A graduate from MIT, he played an instrumental role in bringing Toyota to India. Well, with the Auto Expo coming up in January after a long gap, the industry hopes to get back to the pre-pandemic levels as far as the sales go.
And that's where we leave it on the show tonight. Thanks so much for watching.